Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What Do You Say Anime. I am your host, Peter. And if you cannot tell by my voice, the boys had one hell of a weekend. We have just returned from Anime New York City, and we are here to do our recap on one of the largest anime conventions in the United States. That is. Joining me today, we have Pat and Kat, and we are going to be going over some of the things that we did during the convention, things that we liked, things that we didn't like. So before we get into jumping into it, Pat, how are you feeling today?
Uh, yeah, yes. That's how I'm feeling today. Or maybe no is a better answer. I don't know. I feel awful, to be honest. Like I already told my family, like I'm not eating dinner with you guys the next few days just to be safe. I think I have the con flu and it doesn't feel like COVID symptoms from what I've done my research on, so I'm glad about that. But I feel terrible and my voice is shot still, if you guys can probably hear it.
Yeah, we could hear
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I'm glad to know that because I can't tell when I listen back, or I guess I will be able to tell when I listen back then, so that'll be fun to hear. Kat, what about you, buddy? What are you up to?
Oh man, I this is the first time I've actually been out of bed today. Like I feel terrible. My throat feels like there's razor blades in it and like moving more than 25 feet gets me exhausted and I go into another like 2 hour nap. So like I feel like an 85-year-old right now. Uh,
Yes,
Well,
with
we
I mean, we are all struggling. Whether it's our voice, how we feel physically. But boys, I'm not gonna lie, I had one hell of a weekend, and I would trade it again in a heartbeat.
I agree. I had a little bit longer of a trip than most of the other people too, but I would gladly do it again. That was quite the trip. It was so great to see just all of our friends in person and meet people that we've only seen on Discord. You know, like again,
Yes.
Cat is an example. I've never met him before in real life, and neither had anyone else here. So it was really cool. He's a little weird, but you figure it out. He's a character. He's Cat, and he is back, and it was really great to see him and some of the other Discord members that we have, and some of the other friends that we have, whether that's other through other discords or other podcasts or related stuff. It was really cool. It was a good collection of people in the second coolest city in the Northeast. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, behind Worcester, Massachusetts. But I
Behind Hartford, but yeah.
But I want to give a shout out to everybody that came through. Meeting Kat for the first time, that was dope. And you and your wife. Brian came down, got to meet him, along with all of the Senpai Talk Show people. Also, shout out to huge shout out to AK for setting up all of the events. She was the MVP of the week. If you're watching us on our visual formats, there's a picture of all of us in our cosplays. I'm cosplaying now because I am an idiot and I forgot a third of my cosplay um in my closet because my brain doesn't like to work sometimes, and I packed everything except for my shirt, my tie, and my vest. So I ended up not cosplaying the second day. I did do Sugashima on the first day, but let's talk about cosplay since I'm bringing this up as our first thing. Kat, I know you cosplayed. Who did you cosplay as, and let's say, were you satisfied with how it came out? Because I thought your cosplay was pretty dope, especially your second one.
Second one was sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first one, I actually cosplayed one of my favorite D&D characters, mainly because of the D&D live streams and podcasts and all that. I cosplayed as my character, Dillian Deathridge. And I did so funny story about the cosplay. I forgot to mark my staff as part of my part of my baggage. I wasn't so when I actually got back to the TSA line, they were like, "You can't take that back there." And I looked at the time, and we were like 15 minutes before we were about to board. So I ran back to the to check baggage, and I was like, "Hey, can you put this in checked baggage for me?" And they were like, "No," and they were like, "You gotta figure out a way to put that away, and I'm like, oh shit. So I just like threw it in the trash and ran back. And I was like, I'll find another fucking bow staff in New York. I didn't. And like my cosplay was mostly like incomplete for the first day because that staff had a lot of shit on it. Um, and I was like, oh fuck, no, I gotta get another bow staff and put some shit on it. It wasn't really a bow staff, it was a fucking walking stick, but semantics. The second day, I the second day was the most fun that I cosplayed because I cosplayed Nico from Nanbaka, the I think it's either the second or the third lowest rated show as one of our reviews go.
That sounds
And
right.
it's still one of my favorite shows of all time. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm aware of this. And oh my god, that was one of the most interesting days I've ever had at a convention in my life. Because when I went, I was expecting nobody to understand who I was. I was expecting people to be like, what the fuck is that dude wearing? And like the response was overwhelming. In fact, the first day, because we took an Uber from from my hotel, which is like 3 blocks away from the convention, and I forgot about that. When I got out of the Uber, a dude on a bike passed me, like barely almost ran me over, and like stopped next to me, and he started catcalling me, and because I had the mask on, right? So I was like, "Oh, thanks, dude. I can't believe I didn't know that my ass looked good." And then he was like, "Oh shit," and then
Oh,
rode
it's a
away.
dude.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went in and I met up with you guys, and like you guys saw like two or three of them, but like two or three people, I think over that whole day, 8 or 9 people came up and took pictures of with me because like Nanbaka was like one of their favorite anime, if not their favorite anime,
Yeah, a
and
lot of people have bad taste. It's
I
common.
Well, like eight
well,
people have bad taste.
Yeah, that's a lot to me, but yeah, fair enough.
but like the thing is, like they were extremely excited, like they and another thing is like a lot of them were neurodivergent, like from just being able to see them because I saw the way they act. Because my wife is neurodivergent also. She's on the autism spectrum. So they had that same type of feel, or they were part of the LGBT community, and like the anime really touched them because there's a lot of shipping. There's a
Yeah.
lot of shipping, and like also there's a lot of sparkle that grabs your attention during the show, and even if like the base content of the show isn't great, like it's just a really fun watch to a lot of people, me included. So, uh, I was honestly almost really touched by it because, I'm just a cosplayer, but like nobody else cosplayed as any of the characters.
I think you're
And
the only non-Baka that I saw all weekend. I'll be honest.
yeah, yeah, and I was definitely the only Nico, and I feel like I
True.
pulled it off.
No, it was
So,
really well done. I give you props on your cosplay. Pat, I know you cosplayed. What did you go as?
Yeah. So, God, yeah, my throat is really that bad today, huh? So on Friday, I cosplayed as Kaji. That's his name, right? From Evangelion. I think that's his
Did you
name.
watch End of Eva yet?
No, come on, come on, come on. Um, I want to. I will. Maybe when I'm. Yeah, I don't even have
Maybe
excuses
tonight?
anymore. Yeah, no, I'm going to bed tonight. I am too tired to. I'll be watching YouTube tonight because that way, when I fall asleep watching it, doesn't matter. Like I'm not obligated to try to keep my eyes open. But yeah, so I cosplayed as Kaji, which was really fun and helpful on the first day, especially because when I was walking past all these lines of pissed off weebs who were trying to get into a convention that didn't have their wristband
Yeah, let's talk about
from the
that
day before.
when you're
We
done.
can talk about that. Yeah, when I'm done, I can definitely talk about that. But like, you know, I looked like I was there on business because I was wearing a dress pants, a shirt, and tie. I kept my badge in my pocket so they wouldn't be suspicious of me or like think that I was one of them. But then I just basically like walked right in, you know, which of course I, to be clear, was supposed to do because I already had my pre-screening badge done or whatever. But I don't know, people were definitely giving other people looks or being like, "Oh, what the hell? Yeah, like what were you doing?" Um, but yeah, so that was that. And then on Saturday, I went as Ironwood from Ruby. He I think it went pretty well. I saw a couple Ruby cosplayers. I was able to talk to one of them that was doing a gender bent version of a character that is like that I command or that Ironwood commands. So that was really cool. Got some photos with them. Um, and then yeah, the cosplay itself wasn't great. Like I know I'm throwing away the dress shirt, the dress shirt that it came with that I had to wear. Some buttons fell off when I pulled it out of the bag that I got it from, but at the end of the day, it got the job done. It worked, and it was fun to talk to a couple of the Ruby fans that I saw at the convention. And then yeah, Sunday I didn't get to go to the con, but that's a whole different story. So
Yeah.
yeah, Pete, what did you cosplay as on Friday? And then we can talk about I guess the Friday
Yeah,
line debacle.
yeah. We'll talk about some of our maybe the what we didn't like about the con afterwards. But I wanted Tsukishima from Haikyuu the first day, pretty casual cosplay, just wore like their warm up tracksuit. And then the second day, I was supposed to go as Kotaru, aka the manager from Zombieland Saga, and forgot to throw in my cosplay. So I'm doing that right now. If you are a visual watcher, speaking of visual watching, we are now a video podcast on Spotify. So if you're watching us on Spotify, hello. So
That's pog.
yeah, I was kind of bummed, but it's not that big of a deal to me, to be honest. I was just mad that I spent money on it more than me not actually getting able to cosplay. So, but
Yeah,
there'll be
you poor
future
thing.
cons.
You poor thing. You got to be comfortable at a convention. Yeah,
This
you
is
know.
pretty comfy. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? Oh,
It's just like a. I mean, I wear dress shirts like every day for work and whatever. So like, and bow ties are a million times more comfy than a normal tie. So it's
that's
actually
true.
a pretty easy cosplay, pretty comfy, and I just really enjoyed the character. I thought I could pull it off, and I wish I could show people, but I'm gonna show it off now. So, but now I get to do the Zoom thing where like right now you can see me like wearing the suit, but I'm not wearing any pants underneath. So I'm happy. I'm comfortable doing the recording as well. But yeah, those were my planned cosplays. But you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work out. But I want to also talk about the actual con. Pat brought it up as well. The logistical nightmare that was getting your vaccination card or your vaccination status like confirmed
Oh,
at the con. And if you're on social media on Friday, you were able to do this ahead of time and get you show your vaccination card, you get a wristband on Wednesday or Thursday. You can do that ahead of time, and people, not everybody did that because people maybe weren't able to, and they could only come in on Friday. But the lines for the vax thing were up to about 4 hours. It looked like so. A lot of people got absolutely
yeah.
screwed over if they had 1 day passes where sometimes
I
you're just not able to do that, and I felt really bad for the people who maybe like drove in from wherever because this is the only day that they could do that type of thing. And I stood in line with Brian for almost 2 hours. I did mine on Thursday, but Brian, he was one of the guys, he couldn't get into town until 7 on Thursday, so he missed the cutoff for Thursday. So Kat, I know you waited in line. Tell me about your horror experience of that.
oh, so for me, oh my God. So I didn't know that we could actually do it on Thursday. I probably should have inferred that because like, people want to get into the convention on
Yeah,
Friday. But
check your
like,
email next time.
yeah. But I for sure anytime there's a convention up, I will check my email a lot more. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And then I went with you and I went with Pete and Pat. or no, I went with Pete
Brian.
and Brian. Yeah, sorry, COVID brain, or maybe COVID brain. I'm not sure. But like we went to the convention. And we waited in line, and it was a while. Line moved a lot quicker the first time, and then my wife called me. She was like, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable going to this line." And then I was like, "Oh God, we're gonna have to come back later." So I went back, and I went back to her, met up with her. We went back to the convention, and then the line had quadrupled. So at the first time, the line was around the corner from the convention, like it was around the convention. Um, at this point, the that line that was around the corner from the convention had snaked around, back up around, like past one block, and then snaked around and back up another building. So we had to walk from one building, from the convention, from the building where the convention is, to another building, and then go into that line, go from that all the way back around over to the convention building, get back over to the over to the over to the convention building. We get like maybe halfway around the first line that's facing the back of the convention building, which if you've ever been to Javits Convention Center, on that side where we were is where like there's an intersection and there's water. So we were facing that.
Bro,
So
you're confusing me, and I was there.
okay,
I
so
was gonna
basically,
say that basically the line for my when I walked past it, which was very early into the afternoon, because I came a little bit later, on the first day because I had some work to do beforehand. But it was like 4 blocks long, stacked on
yeah,
itself and wrapped around another block. So it probably would have, if it was like a straight line, it probably would have gone up 10 blocks. I probably would have gone up to like 45th or
I would
46th
say it's
Street.
about. I would say it's about. It was about half a mile long on the street, and then
yeah.
inside of like the actual parking lot of it, I would say it was probably close to another half a mile. So it was about a mile long of line that was
Yeah, and it
moving one at a time. It was pretty slow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like so after we had gotten to like basically like over half of the line, from my understanding, because it was a longer line inside. But after we had gotten half the line where we were had stopped because apparently they needed to get the people that were on the other block out because the police and people that were walking were complaining, and somebody from the NYPD said that you need to get these people out from this block and put them towards the and get them over towards the wherever, well, like get them into the convention or wherever you need to get them. So our line stopped for a solid hour because they were getting into the convention first.
Yeah, it
So
was
then
logistical nightmare to the fact where like they were sending out emails like, "Hey, this is our plan of attack for tomorrow." I'm like, "You need to do the plan of attack for right
but
now." It
yeah,
was it was insane.
and then not only that, but like to by the time our line started moving, apparently they had learned something and they were like, okay, people with badges are going here. People without badges are going there. People with a 1 day pass are going here. People that are looking for tickets because apparently they were selling tickets at the door still
Even
Yes.
though they
are
were sold
going
out.
there.
Even though they were
And
sold out. Yeah.
yeah, and then one of the craziest things that happened was somebody went to Party City and got a bag, like got a bunch of the vaccine card bag, like
Orange wristbands.
wristbands,
Yep.
and walked walked around and was selling them for $5 a pop. And I was like, that's not gonna work if you're waiting in this goddamn line for that long, dude. Like, and people try to do it, and apparently they got kicked out of the con, and
As they should
like
have.
for good.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody was like, "You're a fucking idiot," and he was walking around saying, $5 to 5 hours. It's like 30 degrees outside. Like he took a shot and he
Salesman.
did it, but he's still a piece of shit for
Yeah.
it.
So I mean, if you couldn't tell, the line was insane. Brian waited over 3 hours. I know some people waited close to 4, but that
I
was.
rated like 4.5.
And then I just hated that the fact that like they had one line, one entrance, and then the next day that they had like 4. I'm like, why couldn't you do this the first time? Type of thing. It was like you're literally trying to get tens of thousand people through one door. For me, I had the press badge for my first ever event, and I walked in 1 second. So it was.
Same here.
I was
Yeah,
just
there you
like,
go.
Damn.
how poorly logistically ran the first day was. Cannot. It was like whoever was running the con, it made it seem like they've never ran a convention before because they've held when they did New York Comic Con, they had the same thing. You had to have proof of vax in order to enter, and that was like an hour wait that Has told me to get the vaccine thing because he went, and so it's just like how you had an event similar to this and you weren't able to really handle the logistics of it made no sense. I don't know if it was like staffing, but it didn't seem like staffing because the second day was perfectly fine. So it was just like really baffling. But I think we should move away from the negative. Maybe we should start talking about the positive once we actually got into the convention. What were some of
I had one
what was your
more negative.
all right, Pat, tell me your
Um,
negative before we get to the positive.
yeah, because I have so much more positive, but I definitely want to bring up at least one negative that I felt at least, and I think this was talked about by a bunch of other people on Twitter and everything else too. But Artist Alley, which is my hub, it's where I spend 80% of the con. Um, the first day, to be honest, was the best day for it because I got to walk around and it was crowded, but it wasn't like too crowded because everyone was still waiting outside. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, but I can't speak for the third day, but I know on the second day when I tried to walk in there, I was just overwhelmed. I was like, "There's
It
way
was
too many people,
nuts.
and there's no way you were getting to stop to look at things or to stop to buy things, or could you even see over people?" I'm lucky. I'm a big, tall dude. I can see over people, but like, I can't imagine being like I don't know. I'm not gonna say anyone's name because that's rude, but like someone that's short and trying to like see art that they want to buy. Like so, like again, the first day I was able to get most of what I wanted, which I can't wait to show you guys later. But like, I don't know, it felt like Artist Alley, and then also the booths, the vendor booths themselves too, the non like the more licensed stuff. All of that was on top of itself. Like it felt so cramped, and it was just I was sweating just walking in there. Like just and I sweat a lot anyways, but like I just felt uncomfortable with it. I don't know that it frustrated me a lot because like again I'm glad I got most of my shopping done on Friday. Um, but Saturday again I would have loved to have bought more art, but I went in there, bought 2 things, and I was like, man, I can't stand this. Like, I need to go sit down. I kind of just went home after that actually because I was like, man, I feel overwhelmed. I'm hot.
Yep.
There's too many people
It
in this
was really
building.
hot in the con itself. Just in
Yeah, and
general.
Yeah.
and I don't understand too because like this is another thing that I saw. There were so many bathrooms that weren't open and so many like what do you call it, rooms that weren't panel rooms or maybe not even panel rooms, but just rooms for people to sit down in. That I could never find a place to sit other than on the floor in the way or along the walls and stuff. So
That's
I
a
know
good
that
point.
that to me is extremely frustrating because I'm very lucky that I am not physically impaired or disabled to the point where that matters to me because like at the end of the day I just had sore feet and tired legs. Um, but I don't know if I was, I would have been. I mean, again, I probably would have gotten priority seating or whatever. But why should they have to ask for that when I don't know. Again, it just seems like this is not definitely not the biggest convention that Javits has ever held. In terms like maybe it is, but it's not like significantly bigger than anything else they've ever held.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that this that again we can move on because that's like a whole other issue you could talk about for 20 minutes. But it just felt like there was so many panels too that like why were the rooms so small? Why weren't they double the size? And then you know what? Who cares about having a half empty panel room just because the panel doesn't do well? You know, like why is I don't even like One Piece. Why is One Piece not on the main stage, you know? Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
episode 1000 that was not on the main stage.
or in multiple rooms, like what the fuck? Like come
Well,
on.
just in
Like
general, they on Saturday they had Pat's camera. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
is that better? All right,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
They had we could transition this into the things that I enjoyed because one of the things that I really enjoyed were the main stage panels. I didn't get to see RDC World on Friday, but from what I heard, the panel was incredible. And then on Saturday, I was able to see Chris Sabat, who does Vegeta, and I'm blanking off the top of the Sean something, who does the
Don
voice of
Schimmel.
yeah, he does the voice of Goku, the English dub of Goku, and that was wonderful. And then that ended at 3:15, and then the next event wasn't until 8. And I'm like, you could utilize so much of the space that you have available. This is my also one of my major criticisms of Crunchyroll Expo, which is also run by Crunchyroll, obviously, and Anime NYC is also run by Crunchyroll, is while there are a lot of panels there, they had the opportunity for so much more. And what it seems like they like to do is to control the content that they produce at these conventions and not shine lights on smaller communities. It was cool that we saw like was it the Robot podcast was there, and
Beyond the Bot, right? I think
Beyond the Bot, and I
Yeah.
think Again the Robot was there as well. They were there on Friday, I think. So it was cool that they were able to showcase some of these as well. But like there were gaps where rooms weren't being used, not just the main stage. There were gaps where rooms weren't being used for hours, and it kind of drives me crazy. Where it's just like let people sign up for these like panels that are unused. It's more content for you, and it makes it so it's not like 90,000 people are in some concourse or whatever because there's other stuff going on. But I do want to say that the panels that I went to was probably the highlight for me. Just in general, I thought the content that they did have was high quality. It was entertaining. It was fun. I didn't. I wish they utilized. I just wish they utilized the space better because like things like the Berserk panel I went to, I was an hour and 15 minutes early, and the room was already like half full. I'm like, you have like a mural for Miura there. Like, you know that this is going to be a very big panel, and it was full like 35 minutes before the panel started. I'm like, how do you not realize like these certain panels? And this isn't the only example. This is just one that I was personally there for. These panels are going to be full, and you have the space to utilize. So, I do want to say that the content that was there was great. It's just I wish they utilized it better. Pat, what was some of the favorite things that you enjoyed about the con?
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about some of the positives. But first off, getting to see all my friends and people that I've known for a year now or months, whatever the amount of time is. It was great to get to know people, get to meet some people that I did not expect to meet as well. So that was really cool. I'll quickly just show the art that I got, especially now that I fixed my camera. It sounds like. Um, First, I'll show these two. I was able to find these little pop-up figures that switch back and forth of Pete's cosplay. He gets slapped by Best Girl.
So good. So
So,
good.
and it's like they're zombie. You can't really tell the detail of this, but and I'm sorry for this is great audio content, by the way.
Fantastic audio content.
Um, yeah, thanks, Pat. The they have like the zombie makeup on one side and then the non-zombie on the other. I was so tempted to buy the full set, but I said to myself, nope, I'm getting Best Girl and Manager. So that's what I did with that. Found one of the most adorable stickers I think I've ever seen in my life. It's a little Yoshi riding with Samus riding in like a chibi art style. So that'll get stuck on my work computer next to me. And then I got a couple posters. First of my boy Kenshin in Japanese water style, or watercolor style. It's not hand drawn on this page, it's a print, but it's still the initial first print was done in the watercolor style, obviously, like by hand. Same way with this one of Weiss from Ruby, best girl back chilling back there. This was great. Again, another one that the style and the like colors really bloom in this art style because it's a lot of black and white, and then they added that like red um tinge to it, I guess, if you will. So it looks good. Let's see. A couple more posters I got. I got this cutesy like chibi Ruby one, which again shows off a lot of the characters' personalities really well. Like I don't know, Blake up there being a cat, just hanging out. Um, yeah, if you don't know the show, you might not get that well, but I thought it was adorable. And then this is probably my favorite poster that I found of the weekend. This one I have looked at for probably 45 minutes, and I'm still not done. Um, Let me see. Am I showing it correctly? It says
Super Smash Cat.
Super Smash Cat's Ultailment, and it is literally every character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, including where's Sora? There's Sora, the newest one, the final one. It's every single character drawn as like a cat. So there's like some of my favorites. The little Pac-Man cat is adorable. Um, I don't know. There's so many. Again, I've looked at this and I just
So
show
you
my
go to
parents.
con. So what you're saying, from what I'm hearing, you go to cons for the merch, for the artist alley, for
I go
the
for
unique
artist alley,
stuff.
not even merch, because I don't know, I walked around a little bit of the merch sections and I was like, it's all right. I go for yeah, this is the main thing. I go to cons to see friends and to buy sick art and support other people like me who just have a lot of passion for shows that they like and everything else like that. So I don't have a ton of wall space back here, but I do plan on putting these up somehow. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll put them in like the background of there, or they
Maybe
might
I'll
end
put
up
him
in my room.
on the ceiling.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how well that would work. Unfortunately, the way the ceiling is set up, but yeah. Um, so that's what I loved about the con. That's my main thing. And again, just being able to go out in New York was a lot of fun, and
We'll
being
talk
able
about that
to
next.
yes. But
Yeah.
yeah, the con itself. Um, I'm not a big panel guy. Maybe I was just not as into the panels that were available this con, but in general, I've never been that big into that. I'd so much rather spend the time walking around, talking to friends, seeing what cool art people have brought to it, seeing the cool cosplays, taking photos with people, and making new friends. So that was my goal, and I did a lot of that.
That's
As
awesome.
you can tell by my voice.
Yeah.
So
By all of our voice, yeah, we're struggling. Kat, what were
Yeah.
some of your favorite things about the con?
Oh my God. So some of my favorite things about the convention were I go to conventions for like the crowd interactions. I go to like hang out with people in like the board game section. I go to walk around, see what kind of cosplays people are doing. Of course, I go for some of the merch. Of course, I go like to look at certain things. But one of my favorite things, because I'm a little bit of a card nerd. They had a group there called fucking I think it was like Senpai
It's called the Senpai Squad.
Senpai Squad, yes. They had a group there called the Senpai Squad, and they had two different places in the convention. They had a place where they were the place in the back of the artist alley where, well, not artist alley, but where the meet and greets were, and then they had a place in the front of the artist alley. Both of them had DJ booths, and I was looking at some of the cars. My favorite one was like an '09 Lancer.
That was my
It's
favorite.
it was also your favorite too. Right beside that, Lancer was also like a '07 Corolla, and it was like one of the weirdest ones because they had a GTR, Supras, they had like old tuners that were like so like iconic, and then you had Lancer, which is extremely iconic, one of the most prominent rally cars in existence, and then you had a fucking Corolla, and I loved it. It was like one of the most mid cars for, guess what? One of the most mid characters, because around that car was Deku. So I'd
Oh,
say
the
that
Deku car was insane.
it was.
He had like 30 Deku figures in his car, like
I
Yeah.
welded.
know. Yes, it was insane.
This is the
But
DJ spots too, right? Where they had
yeah.
that. Can we interject real quick? So
Oh,
Pete and I on the first day together, we're trying to find each other. We were like, hey, because I showed up a little, or we walked in at different times, and I was like, hey, so where are you? And I told him to meet me at the anime cars with the waifus and the DJ. And we did not find out until after we were both like, "Where the fuck are you?" to each other, that there were two sections that had anime waifu cars with the DJ at them in the con that were on like the opposite sides. So, um, I just thought that's
That
really
was
funny.
that
That
was
like it
silly.
was like, oh shit, yeah, they do have another DJ and another set of cringy anime cars that are cool. Some of
Whoa,
them are
come
cool,
on,
but
bro.
no, it's like
Actually, some of them are super fucking cringy.
Oh yeah.
some of them were so
Yeah.
cringy, but some of them were really cool too. So it was a perfectly balanced as all things should be. But yeah, sorry, Kat. Please. So what else did you see other than the cars?
So for this first day, I don't think I don't think I was actually able to meet everybody the first day because like first of all, I didn't get in until like 3/4 of the day was done, but like I was so pent up that I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Go into the DJ booth and I'm fucking dancing. Cause like I don't fucking give a shit anymore. So me and my wife we went over to a DJ booth and we just started like dancing to uh well, I think it was the first day that we danced to a bunch of anime music. And then the second day, there was they started raving and it was so fun. Like the first day they were doing like some anime music and then some like, generic dance music, like Cupid Shuffle, Electric Slide, um stuff like that. And it was fun all around. But other than that, like being upstairs playing games with some of the people, that was actually kind of fun. I actually didn't really get to play many games because like it was full. And they didn't have any more room for like all of the games they had. Like this is going into like a really good thing and a really bad thing for the con because like you had so many people, like there were people lining the walls that wanted to play games, that some of them had like for a magic tournament, some of them had like their full magic decks ready and they weren't able to get in even though they signed up, which was insane. Like they had been waiting all day, like they had a full magic tournament ready to go and they only had like the top room and they only had half of the top room because the other half was saved for photographs in the back of it and food on the sides. Like that was it. Like it was one of the most botched magic tournaments I've seen in a while. And then uh but other than that, what um the last thing that I really, really loved about the convention, I think the first day, was just me and Burley walking around and seeing a lot of the cosplays that she really liked because she doesn't watch that much anime. Um, and she would just go around and just like freak out at some of the anime some of the cosplayers that she'd see, and sometimes she'd walk up to them, take a picture. Um, and she like for her first convention, as bad of an experience as that convention was, it was a really really fun convention.
Yes, yes. And before we move away from the non-con stuff, I just want to I want to do like a 90-second review with Kat. We both were able to see the premiere of Belle.
Oh,
The guy, so it's from the director who did like Boy and the Beast, Wolf Children, Summer Wars, Mirai, and I just want to say that I thought this movie was beautiful. It was fantastic. I thought it was going to be like a Beauty and the Beast style of movie, and it kind of was, but they kind of flipped it on its head and then flipped it again. It was a wonderful movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Kat, what's your quick review on Belle?
Oh my God, Belle, like you said, it was beautiful. I loved the way that they directed the animation uh because of the two dip. Are we doing like spoiler free? Let me
Absolutely spoiler
clarify.
free.
Okay, so some of the
A
animation
quick,
is
a quick night, like whatever, and your camera's bugging.
oh shit, sorry. Some of the animation is done very, very like actually all of the animation is done extremely well. The music is amazing. And the character growth in the movie, it felt like I was watching a 12 episode series in like 2 hours. And like it was one of the greatest pieces of media that I had consumed in a long time. Not only that, but during the movie, I was crying, which is hard for a movie to do. But Burley was crying like a lot, and it was
So what was your rating?
mine was like it had to be like a 10.
Okay, yeah.
I gotta say it's a 10.
It got, I don't know if it got like a standing ovation, but a lot of people were clapping. I was a big fan of the movie. Most people were crying, in a good way. I'll put it that way. It was a really fun and enjoyable film to watch. But that was the actual con itself. But part of the con is also experiencing where you are. And we were in New York City, and it was my first time in the big city. Pat has been there a few times, I believe, and I'm not
Yep.
entirely sure about Kat, but my first experience to a metropolitan area of this size. And we were able to do a lot of things together. So I thought we could just go around the room and saying like what our favorite parts were, of the activities that we did, because we did do a lot of things together. Sometimes we did some solo stuff, but whatever. So Pat, what was some of the favorite things that we got to do in New York City outside of the con?
Yeah, well, I know I was there partly on work as well, so I was able to see a bunch of my coworkers, meet them for the first time, since I started working at my company 5 months ago. So that's pretty cool. I get to do that again in a few weeks too, so that'll be really exciting. Outside of that, again, a lot of bars, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of walking, which was fun. I also, on my own, I went out to meet a bunch of my uh, PlayStation and like online friends that I've met before. Met them out on the island. Saw a terrible hockey game, but at least it was fun to be with my friends and uh, check out the brand new arena that they have in their basically in their hometown. So that was really cool. Um, but yeah, really, it was just more every night was a different like experience. Excuse me. Every night was a different vibe. You know, every night had its own like ups and downs or swings, ebbs and flows, whatever you want to say. But I don't know. I ate so much good food and I drank so many expensive drinks
True.
yeah, the B&B was 8 out of 10. You know,
Yeah.
if it just had a working shower, then I think it would have
Or water pressure in general.
water pressure in general, like even just a shower, yeah, that you know you felt clean after getting out of.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been nice. Maybe some better doors and insulation so that
Yeah.
every time I talked or breathed, hallway couldn't hear me or vice versa. But we made do. It was very spacious and not what I expected after seeing how in my opinion how awful the hotels were.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
It looked like it would be hell to me
Yeah,
to have
B&B was
stayed.
definitely the correct choice.
Yeah, like
Even
I
Oh,
can't
for
imagine.
definitely.
yeah, even for some of the things. Is there anything
Yeah,
else that otherwise I could take it over.
yeah.
I
Please take it.
All right. Well,
I
for me, Thursday night meeting everybody for the first time was absolutely incredible. We were able to meet up at like a Mexican restaurant, and get drinks. So we met all of Senpai Talk. We had like 30 people there. That was an absolute blast. Just after interacting with some of these people for over 2 years, that I got to see them in person, and it was exactly how I pictured it. Hugs, drinks, laughter. It was a whole bunch of fun. What else did we do? We did karaoke on Saturday. That's why like a lot of our throats are just absolutely destroyed. That was the first time I ever did karaoke, but that was an
Fly
absolute
me
blast.
to the moon.
Pat did Fly Me to the Moon. He did Viva La
I
Vida. I did I'm on a Boat. Kat
That
did
was
John
great.
Mayer.
yes.
And he
And
also
no,
and he
me and Pat did Viva La Vida.
Yes, that was fun.
yeah. So we had a whole squad. We got Korean barbecue on Sunday. That was, oh my god, that was my first time
So
getting.
jealous.
That was my first time ever getting Korean barbecue, and now I simp for pork shoulder because that was like my favorite meat of all time. Now that was absolutely incredible. We did so many fun things. We did have kind of like a horror story on Saturday that hopefully Brian doesn't get too mad at that. I'm telling him, but I thought it was hilarious. We went to a bar and the bouncer took Brian's ID and he wasn't able to get in. And then he told him to like step out of the line, and we were all in the bar except for Brian, like because Brian was like last in line. So like, where the hell's Brian? Go outside, find Brian. He's like, yeah, the bouncer took my ID. This being Brian is an of age individual from New York.
Very of age from New York with a proper ID.
Yeah, proper ID. So
and
we
this was a club too. It
yeah.
wasn't a bar, so maybe that might have been what the issue was. But I don't know. The guy like scanned my ID from Connecticut and
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, is this your, like, oh, what's your address?" Or like he kind of was gave me a weird vibe, but I was
Yeah,
like,
it was a little weird.
bro, you can literally see, like, come on.
So
You
yeah, we
know
had to talk
that.
to one bouncer, to talk to another bouncer, to talk to the line manager, to talk to the owner, to talk to this guy. Ended up getting Brian's ID back, but that was the end of that night. Instead of going out to the bars and getting some drinks, we just had to we're just like, you know what, F this, like I don't want any more drama tonight. So that was Saturday. So that was like now just like a story to tell, but at the time it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
But man, just seeing everybody again, or not even. Well, I've seen you, Pat, and seeing Emily and Has, but like I'm meeting everybody again and just having a good time was just like it was everything I wanted more. What a great group of people that we were with. No drama, just hugs and laughs and cry and tears of like missing each other after the fact. But that's how you know you have a great community, is when you guys can come together and in a moment just you hug each other and it's just like you're talking to each other on Discord. So that was something
Yeah.
I'll never forget, and I think that just is why I am so fond of this the anime community in general, where everybody is so welcoming. We had, I mean, just think of like the group that we had. Bunch of different races. We had people ages from 21 to 40 in our group. Everybody was having like great
20 even.
conversations, married, single. It didn't matter. Like everybody was there together, just having like a wonderful time, and everybody was perfect. So just shout out to everybody in our community, the Senpai Talk community that we were able to meet and just have a wonderful time. Kat, what were some of your favorite things outside of the con?
Oh my god. So, outside of the con, Thursday, I had to say like meeting everybody was like I was not sure what to expect. I knew that meeting Pete and Pat was gonna be really fun. I knew that meeting Has was gonna be interesting. I didn't know what to expect from Brian, but I knew he'd be welcoming. But like everybody else, I had never met before, except for Barfoli. But I mean that not in real life, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
on
yeah,
Discord.
yeah.
Like I wasn't sure what to expect from everybody else, and then like I get there and everybody's just like, "Hey!" And I'm like, "Hey!" Like I didn't even know what who these guys names were. And like they were just so welcoming, and it made me feel warm. It made Burley feel welcome in a community that she largely never met before, which is unheard of for her. So
She played hentai games with us that one time. There's no way
uh,
she,
well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's obviously very different. I mean, it was very nice to meet her. Glad to see the person the wonderful person that supports you. So there you go.
yeah, we like on Friday night. That was really fun. Uh, I don't think we met too much. I think we met once for no, Friday night was the night that you guys went for steaks. Everybody else went for something else, and then me and Burley went to. Oh my god! So there is this hole in the wall, uh, ramen place called Hand Pulled Noodles 2, and it was amazing. Like it's very very small. It's like you're being packed in a sardine can. But like Guy Fieri had been there, and they had those pictures on the wall, and like it is like a 5-star place to eat, New York City, like top pick. We went there. The noodles there were life changing. My God, like Burley has been trying to say that she would go back to New York City just for those noodles. And I was like, we don't have the money for that, but I almost agree with you. Um but like we like that night was just a night where we explored everything as much as we could, and then we met up with you guys afterwards, and we went to wait, no, that was, I think that was Thursday night. We went to a bar Thursday night. That bar, she got trash. And I wasn't laughing about it then, but I'm laughing about it now. I had to carry her back from the bar that was on like 30th Street and 8th to 40th and 9th. Like it was a long walk. And it was cold, it was rainy, but now I can laugh about it. My throat isn't, but like, it is what it is. I think my body just held the sickness off until I got back home.
Yup.
Um
Yup.
Oh, I could feel it on Saturday or Sunday
I can feel it
into
Sunday.
Monday, and I
Yep.
was just like, here it comes.
here
I'm ready. Let's
The
get it over with
post-con
before Thanksgiving.
flu.
Yep.
Yep. Meeting all those meeting all the neckbeards who just never wash. That's where it
I thought
normally
it was
comes
pretty
from.
good. I thought it was pretty good in terms of the hygiene. I thought it was pretty
It
solid. There was definitely the neck beers were in attendance, but
Yes, but
I never had
it
a
was few and
problem.
far in between. But like you still bet.
Yeah, I don't
So
know. You still see him around, but hey, that's also half, not half. That's a good amount of the anime fan base. But I
Yeah.
don't know. To this weekend, I will say, made me feel a little better about being a weeb or being called a weeb in
oh
terms of
yeah.
just um the people that I saw a lot of people kind of saying fuck it to the mask policy, which was annoying.
That was
Yeah.
super annoying.
It was like, hey, bro, either do it or leave.
Yep.
Like I don't want to be wearing this either, but I'm doing
Here we
it.
are.
So here we are. Um, I didn't see anyone get stopped for it, but I
Nope.
also didn't really watch anyone that long either, I guess. So maybe they were. I don't
I, s-
know.
I saw more people get stopped for running in the convention than I saw get stopped for masks.
Yeah. Um,
I see, like, but 99.9% of people were
most people were
doing
wearing them
great.
for sure. I think again, it did feel a little overcrowded, but it was fun. I just wish they again made it more accessible for
Yep,
people who aren't as fortunate as like me or
for
you
sure.
guys to be able
Yeah.
to walk around and hold in a pee, like to
Yep.
put it bluntly, or stand on my feet for God, what was it on Friday? I was standing for 8 hours straight, like,
Yeah.
or I sat down at one point to eat with you guys, but that was only like 30 minutes, and I was standing the rest of the day or walking to and from the con. Like, it just that was frustrating, but again, the rest of it was beautiful. I really so glad I went.
I forgot a story that I wanted to tell that I thought was hilarious. I was walking to karaoke, and I wasn't able to go to Times Square yet. I wanted to check it out, do touristy shit. And to get to
Yeah.
karaoke, I could walk through Times Square. So I was walking through Times Square on the way to karaoke, and there's like this group of people that are doing like acrobatics and stuff, and they're looking for people to jump over, and they were looking for tall people. And I was just minding my own business. I was walking down the street, I had my headphones in, and they were calling out to me, but I couldn't hear it. Guy runs over to me, grabs me by the shoulder, he's like, "Hey, do you want someone to jump over you?" I'm like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
I got pulled into a Times Square acrobatic stunt where we had like 5 dudes like lined up and they like jumped over us. They did like backflips and stuff. So I just want to tell that story that was like such a random New York experience of just getting pulled into Times Square and having these like amazing like acrobats just like, hey, you 6'2" white guy, can we jump over you? I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. That was great. So I just really
Bing
want to
bong.
tell, yeah, Bing Bong. I just really want to tell that
We didn't say
story.
bing. We did not say bing bong enough this weekend.
I know. Even when the Knicks won, I didn't say Bing Bong.
No. And that's funny because like my experience with Times Square was a little bit the opposite, where I was like, oh, I'm gonna walk to the karaoke, or I'm gonna walk to the ramen shop. Was actually the first night we went to Times Square, and I was walking, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm in Times Square. Like I looked up and I was like, oh shit, I see where they dropped the ball. I had no idea. Um, I guess I knew I was in the area, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just went from like, still a New York
Yeah, yeah,
street,
yeah,
like
yeah.
regular street, to suddenly Times Square, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's cool to see. Um, it was fun. It was really really cool. Like
Yeah.
Times Square itself was just fascinating to me as someone who, you know, I went to school in Boston, but it just was like there's so many
Yeah, it's it's
all
it's a different beast.
like
So
okay.
now that we got Pat, you've been to larger cons before. I've been to one larger con before. If you ever went back to Anime New York City, what would be something that you would want to do or didn't get to do, or something that you learned from it from like the next time that you would want to do?
Um, I would love to have more diverse panels in terms of like content. I felt a lot of it, which of course this how it has to be, right? Like it's a lot of shonen, it's a lot of like um voice actors because those are the big names, right? Those are going to be the people that get the attention. I would love to see maybe just some more niche topics. Again, I don't think it was like glaringly bad, but like what we talked about earlier, that it would have been cool to see a few more panels filling the rooms that were empty, or um, more rooms in general for stuff like, again, the One Piece 1000 episode. You're going to tell me you don't expect, like, out of the 10, let's say there's 10,000 people there, which I think there was more.
There
You're
were
telling me you don't
53.
53,000. So you're telling me you expect out of those 53,000 only what, like 2,000 to want to watch it, or not
It
even?
wasn't
How
even
many
in the
could?
main room, so it's probably like
Yeah,
300 probably in a panel room.
300 people
Yeah.
probably in a panel room. Yeah, so there you go. Like you're telling me you expect only 300 out of 50,000 fucking weebs want to watch One Piece 1000? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
about that,
That
Rob that we met went 2 hours early and wasn't able to get into the One Piece thing. It's just
yeah,
like
that's
you went 2 hours
awful.
early for if you go 2 hours early to a panel, you should be able to get in, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
just like, I mean, when half the not even half, 90% of the cosplays are shonen. Like, yo, hello.
yeah, that was bad. So another thing that I would love to see them do related to panels as well, or just the con in general, I guess, would be I don't know. Anime Boston does this. I know it's like a 21 plus, like from like 8 p.m. on, and they do hentai panels, which are funny. They're like, you know, panelists playing a hentai game live on screen, and it's funny as hell. Like I went to a couple of them when I went to Anime Boston, and I was like pleasantly surprised by how funny they were. I didn't know what to expect, and yeah, sure, a lot more of the people that I constantly shit on at anime cons, where that the ratio leveled out a little bit at those events, but there were still plenty of normal, well adjusted, funny people that were fun to talk to. They do like bar stuff too, which of course with COVID, it's hard for them to do that for sure. But I don't. I think that yeah, more 21 plus panels would have been
I
fun
think I've
later on
been
into the night.
way. I think I've been really good. Kat, how about you? Same question. Something that you would want to do differently, or something you would like to see from like if you went, say, next year.
Oh, let me tell you something. I the biggest convention that I had gone to before Anime NYC was GalaxyCon in Raleigh. In GalaxyCon they have something called the I just forgot its name.
The
Um
masquerade thing.
the yeah uh I'm gonna forget it. Basically, it was stripping and cosplay. And they had a
Huh?
like legit stripping, like strip club stripping. So they have like a bunch of people like sitting on the floor watching cosplayers strip, and like it's legit, just very basically a strip club, but they're now dressed up in cosplay, like scantily clad cosplay, and a lot of them are
That might be
hot.
just for
Like
you, Cal. I'll be honest with you. That sounds like an awful thing to see at a con.
it's
Sounds
it's
so
actually
crazy.
really
You know
really
how
really funny.
sweaty that place would be? Oh.
Like it would be funny to watch from like
It,
the distance, like standing with your back to the wall so that no one's behind you and just watching like from a distance it happen. But
oh
I can't
yeah.
imagine being like in the panel room sitting there, like in the chairs with other people. I would not want to do that. I'm sorry.
Uh,
That this might
so
just be you. Yeah.
so I had never actually been into I'd actually never been into the battle. I've only been like on the outskirts of it. So
Yeah,
like
like looking in the
on
door.
exactly. And cuz like they have to check for your like license and all that. But another thing is like having the actual nightclubs and doing like the cosplay doing like the full on cosplay like not walkers but like runways
They
and
had
those
that.
contests
They
they
had that.
did.
Yeah.
Oh,
They had that
I
on
I
Saturday at 8 p.m.
oh, that's probably why I didn't see it. But like I wanted to have those be a lot more prevalent. Like I wanted to go into a cosplay and get a fucking like rum and coke and then party with a dude dressed as fucking I don't know, dressed
Goku.
as dressed as Goku. Yeah, like just have fun. That's what I go to cons for. I go because it's a huge party. And like I definitely had a few of those instances there, but like it just wasn't as prevalent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. Things that I would do for next time. I would. This might actually seems kind of silly. I would actually train my body more. I was very physically exhausted from walking. I think I was averaging around 18,000 steps a day, so it was close to like, I think it was close to like 10 miles a day, and my feet were just exhausted. I would honestly just like work on my conditioning some more. But kind of like what everyone's saying, I would hope they would utilize the space more, give time available to, um, independent content creators, up and coming content creators, allow people to submit ideas for panels because that convention was massive. They had room for so much, and I felt like it really wasn't utilized in a way that they could have. But I don't know, like that being said, I did think the convention center itself was pretty solid. It had a lot of options in terms of like food, coffee, stuff like that where I haven't seen a lot at other cons. They also had like individual food vendors inside of like the merch area, which was great. So props to like the options available in terms of that sense because a lot of conventions do lack that like really hard, aka Crunchyroll. When I was in San Jose, that was like a really big issue for me. And I would also budget better. Me being the naive Midwesterner, budgeting, I don't know.
You thought you'd pay less than $15 for your drink.
Yeah, so first night out, we go to a hotel bar. I order 5 tequila sodas, a very basic drink, $104. I'm like, fuck. Okay. That's how the weekend's going. Luckily, Parf was the MVP and bought me some Henny for $30 from Virginia, so I was able to do a lot more pre-gaming. And also shout out to Gotham Market for selling Bud Light, what they called?
Lime-A-Ritas.
Lime-A-Ritas for
Yeah.
$3, even though I did get gut rot one night and almost threw up after eating steak. But spending $3 on a drink in New York City was, that was a treat. But yeah, I would definitely budget more. The food was a little, oh my God, we didn't even talk about it. I went to like 5 pizza spots. Dude, New York pizza sucks. Like
It
straight
does.
up. I had one like good pizza. I would even say it was great. Everything else was hot dog water. Like I
Yeah,
was
so
Yeah.
one issue, and this is gonna be weird coming from the guy who always says Connecticut pizza is better, and maybe I'll have to prove that to you guys someday, because I that's a hill I'll die on, and that New York pizza is definitely overrated. But we were in the wrong part of New York to get like the authentic New York
okay.
slices.
That that makes
Getting
sense.
we were getting shitty corner store slices,
So we
like
were in
that were
Hell's
not.
Kitchen for those who want to Google Map it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really the places that you'll get like again to use this example, the places that Portnoy does one bite reviews at, like those are all upper New York or in Times Square or somewhere that is not our spot. Which again, it's not entirely residential, but Hell's Kitchen is pretty and Midtown, like where we were, I think Midtown West is right next to Hell's Kitchen. Like that is a little bit more residential and restaurant hotel-y than it
Yep.
is like pizza a place that you'll get a New York slice, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, I feel
Yeah,
yeah.
that must have
I had
been
terrible pizza on Friday night.
Yeah.
Brian and I
Oh
got it. Like
yeah.
we picked it up at like 2 a.m, and it was just like
I see. That was the best one I had all
worst.
weekend, and you didn't like it. That just shows how bad the other pizza I had was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was terrible again compared to what I know New York pizza can be. So maybe
Mm.
that's why. But yeah, again, come to Connecticut if you want real, authentic New York pizza and the
Okay.
best kind of pizza in the
For
world.
authentic New York pizza, go to Connecticut.
Go to
You heard it here
Connecticut.
from Pat.
Go to
Okay.
New Haven. Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about anything else before we get into like our final thoughts on the con?
Oh, I wanted to talk about our weirdest moment of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Doesn't that
Yeah.
doesn't have to be
What
in the
happened,
con.
Cat? Tell me. I hope
Okay.
it's PG-13.
It is actually, surprisingly. My weirdest moment in in the convention was actually when I was coming back from the convention. I think it was Saturday night. We were going out to a bar. It was either a bar. No, we were going out to karaoke. We were going back, me and my wife, and we had gotten in, and I was in like Nico cosplay. I was in fucking Nico mode. I was like inside of the character, and like I get into the elevator because we were on the 19th floor. Best thing about the Hilton Hotel, the fucking elevators. Greatest thing that I've ever been in. Like
They were
just
so fast.
I
Every elevator I
know
rode in was so fast. It was like, oh, 17 floors? Yeah,
nothing. Like
that's done in 2 seconds. It was so like, whoa. I
like
don't really.
yeah. Like I think the worst elevator that I'd been in New York was the one at the convention, ironically. But and that is another story that I wanted to tell, but I might not get the time. Um, so I get into the elevator, and there are like after we get into the elevator, there's four other people that get into the elevator. Mind you, New York City. I am like, oh my god, I'm in the middle of fuck somewhere, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. I get into the elevator, I hear all four of these people with the same accent that I hear almost every day in North Carolina. I'm like, where are you guys from? And they all say that they're from like Eastern North Carolina. I'm like, oh my god, I'm from Greenville. And they're like, oh my god, you're from Greenville. And we start talking, and I was like, why the hell did you come here if you're not coming to the convention? And they're like, oh, yeah, uh, we just came here because we wanted to get drunk. And I'm like, what the
Yeah, you don't need to come to New York to do that, and you can do that in I don't know. You probably you don't spend $15 on a
and
drink in
and
Greenville. You
That's
spend
exactly that's exactly what I said. Like in Greenville, we can get a rum and coke for like $5. Like it's cheap as hell. Like
yeah,
they
that's
came to New York City to get drunk, and I'm like, bro, how rich are you? And they're like, oh, I work at Walmart. And I'm like, why are you here?
it must have saved a lot for that trip. or
Exactly.
Damn, me and Kat have very different definitions on weird stories. I'll tell you that much.
Mhm.
All right.
I, I liked it.
No, that was fun. All right, let's get to our final thoughts in terms of like the con. Would you recommend people going here? Um, that that sort of thing that we like normally do. Pat,
Is this Watch Club?
yeah. This is Anime Recap Watch
NYC
Club,
Watch Club.
NYC Watch Club. I
Yeah.
mean, just give me your final thoughts, like
No, it's
because
just
like
funny.
the
Recommendations, baby. Yeah, no,
yeah, and,
absolutely.
like if people are like if they because we have big cons in the U.S. We have like Soccer Con in Seattle. We have Dragon Con in Atlanta. We have Dream Con coming up in Dallas. It's like
Galaxy Con
if so,
rally.
I mean that's not a big con at all. What
Anime
would
Expo.
Anime Expo is like massive, but like would you like if somebody had to pick like a big con to go to this like you've been to Anime Boston, which one would you prefer if someone was traveling to it or something like that? Like give me your thoughts
Oh
on
man.
like the con in general because I know a lot of people only do like local cons and stuff like that. Maybe when COVID has less restrictions and they can travel more, they can pick and choose which cons they go to. Is this one that you would recommend to people?
Um, yeah, I think overall I would recommend it as long as you're willing to again walk, as long as you're willing or capable, I should say, of walking and understanding that you're in the city, knowing the expenses that come with it. Because again, the con ticket was $150, but you buy 6 rounds of shots at a bar, and there goes $120. So like there you go.
Yup.
Like that's the sad reality of where you are, right? So as long as you're capable to afford it, I'd say yes. You should do it because it was a good time. Make sure you go with friends. Make sure you go with the right group of people. I can never give an unbiased answer for this because I will always say Anime Boston because I know Boston and lived there and got to go out there, so I would 100% be able to, have that home field advantage, so to speak. And also again, I do enjoy like the 18 plus or the 21 plus panels that they would do at Anime Boston as well. Um, but it's different strokes for different folks. Well, yeah, get it because it's 21 plus. Um, but I don't know. Anime Expo should be a really good time, right? Like that's a huge con to go to. I haven't been to any of the others. I've heard DreamCon is bad, but I also heard that from Haz, so who knows if that's true or not. Um, we'll have to see. But I would recommend this overall. Like it was uh even if I pretend I didn't see any of my friends there that made it all worth it. I would say that Artist Alley, even with it being cramped, was so fun and so full of talented artists. The vendors were kind of cool, too crowded for me to really get
Yep.
up and talk to them, but I would have liked to have, but I just chose not to for my own tiredness and whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, that's what I'd say. So I would recommend it overall. It was pretty cool.
Right on. Kat, how about your final thoughts and recommendation?
Oh, so for me, I with meeting everybody there, like I go to cons for just to reiterate, I go to cons because it feels like a party. Um, and with everyone there, it felt like such a party. I had so much fun, and with everyone there, I would completely recommend it. Like going with that many people you could call friends or that many friends, like just people. Like it's so fun. Now, for me, not being like removing myself from having like 30 different friends that I could hang out with. Um that's a little different because like I couldn't really find that many people to hang out with and like at the convention because like at GalaxyCon, and maybe this is the difference between a local con or quote unquote local con and a huge con. Like it's harder for me to sit down and make friends at those huge conventions because like it feels so daunting to me.
Mhm.
And
Was
like
this
if you
pre-COVID too? I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you go to GalaxyCon pre-COVID? Because that also, I don't know,
yeah.
I feel like wearing wearing a mask, like you said, made me feel like I just was like, all right, I am not here to talk to people I don't
People.
know.
Yeah.
Like I am here to enjoy
Hang out
Artist
with
Alley
people
and
I
hang out
know.
with the people I know that I'm comfortable with, right? So I think
Yeah.
maybe that might be why you felt that way. But I don't know, like what a good example of this might be with Pete. When we were sitting and eating on Friday, multiple people came and sat at the table with us and like we chatted a little bit, or we had fun talking and sharing things. So I don't know. I think
Yeah.
that it definitely might be like a local con thing, but it's also I think COVID is like the main contributor for that. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, that might be true. And like I think with everybody being there and us all playing games and like stuff like that, like being able to talk a little bit with that, but not being able to like talk at length. Like I made so many friends at GalaxyCon the first year I went, and this year was just kind of but it was very, very fun. Especially with like the DJs and all that. It what I'm basically saying about this convention versus the conventions that I've been to is that this one just it's a little bit harder to say. Like if you are going for certain things, like if you're going for the artist alley, definitely. Like you should go because the artist alley is huge. Not only that, but you've also got the Crunchyroll booths and you've got the Aniplex booths, and then you've got those huge, like it feels like an anime convention. It just feels like an anime convention. But then you've got places like if you're going for the panels, great. If you can get in one. Um, and then for the party, like if you're able to be as outgoing as you need to be, uh, perfect. Like you're gonna have a lot of fun. But if you're not, if you go to conventions to meet people who are a little bit more introverted, like you are, and you go, I guess during COVID, it's gonna be a lot harder. So I would personally recommend it, but it's a little bit harder too.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I feel you. For me, I would I would recommend this if you're planning on going to New York City in general, and this being like a side thing. To be honest, I was a little disappointed in some of the things that the con presented in terms of the other cons that I've been to. Just for something of this magnitude, I was expecting a little bit more. I think in terms of the Artist Alley and merch, that was top tier, S tier. I loved it. I do wish that they could do a little bit more spacing. I did think that they had the room to make Artist Alley wider, more accessible to other people, and that really wasn't the case. That's something I think that they could easily learn going forward. Like my biggest issue is like the con itself, the and Kat mentioned it as well. Being able to get into those like panels was exhausting sometimes. We waited. I mean, just like I'm gonna hold it up just because it meant a lot to me. But like the Berserk panel, showing up an hour and 15 minutes early to what I mean, just think of like what if Oda, the guy who did One Piece, passed away and they did a One Piece panel. Like, do you think that would be popular? Like, yeah, like come on, like some of these things were just like no brainers to me that I thought that they kind of dropped the ball at. If I was like giving it like a rating, I'd say it's like a 5 out of 10. To be honest, I thought it was just they really dropped the ball in terms of the con aspect of the whole event. But if you wanted to go to New York City and do a whole bunch of other stuff, then it's totally worth it. Like the experiences outside of the con to me were way more impactful than what I actually saw inside of the con. I think for the most part, and to me, I would think I would really like to go somewhere like we're able to do more for less. I'll put it that way. I feel like we really had to use our options in terms of like karaoke was a cheap option to do, but like not every night it was like that. I would love to go somewhere like when I went to like Dallas where there was more feasible options for us to do where we have more space with more people in terms of the group we went to. I feel like New York City wasn't the best location for a group of 30 people. If we could go to like I think LA might be a little bit better, but that's also crowded. But like, what if
It's
we?
pretty crowded too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like what if we went to like Atlanta? Like, what if we went to
Raleigh.
pretty crowded probably too.
I mean,
I
Atlanta's huge in terms of like geographical size. Is what
no,
I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I agree. New York is like the worst offender of this, but I think that this is just like you said, it's a problem of having
Correct.
so
30
many
people.
wonderful
Yeah,
friends and 30 friends. New York definitely expedite or
it's pricey.
Expedited.
exponentially makes that
Yeah.
worse.
Yes.
But like, I think that would be a problem. Yeah, it'd be a problem in Boston
Yeah.
probably. It'd be a problem in Raleigh and Seattle, and I think even LA, even though it's like very land heavy, it would still, we're trying to get to the restaurants, like we're trying to get to
Yeah.
wherever, and getting a room of like 20 people in just
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
make
there are cities that are way more accessible to larger groups. Is kind of like what I'm getting at in terms of the group that we went with. But I'm just also trying to think like in terms of like going with like either like a smaller group or solo. I feel like Anime in New York City was the type of con where the city comes first, the con came second. And to me, where I see something like Anime Expo, where it's the biggest convention in the world, I would hope the con would come first and then the city would come second. That's just my 2 cents. I didn't think it was a terrible con at all. I think it just was flawed a little bit, and I'm hoping to see some improvements. Would I go back? Absolutely. I was a big fan. Even though New York City was super expensive, I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed the people that I was with, the events that we did. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. So
Aw.
minus Pat, but like that was just
Aw.
like that's just like the that's how I felt about it. Just in terms of like what was offered, what we could have had, what was like missed. I don't know. I feel like that because on Friday, like the doors open at 10 and panels didn't start till 1. Why don't panels start at like 11? Like, why do we have to wait so long for some of these things? And that it kind of time drives me crazy. Like, I'm such a nitpicker when it comes to time and stuff like that. So that's just my 2 cents. But I would go back again. I appreciate Anime New York City giving me a press badge. I was able to not use it once really. I didn't really utilize it as well. I did have access to like a different line for some panels that I was too busy just staying in line with like Brian and Kat and stuff like that to actually use it. So props to them. I'm looking forward to maybe covering it more, but I do want to say like the Bell was amazing. The Chris Sabat panel was incredible. The Berserk panel that I went to, and I won limited Japanese merch. They had 5 limited edition Japanese merch things available for raffle, and I was the last one called, and I won. That was just what a wonderful panel. The panel guy was crying during it, and like half the room started crying. It was just an emotional thing from my favorite piece of media of all time. So that was great. So I am glad that they did do something like that. So props to the crew of Anime New York City, and thank you for letting me have a press badge. And I hope next year maybe I can get another one. So we'll see.
It's a good panel.
Yeah. When we go to these things, it's like I don't want to be a dick because I've only done one panel in my life, and I felt like I did a really decent job. I would love to do like a live recording or a certain type of panel about podcasting or something like that in general with other people who are interested in this sphere, expressing your feelings, expressing your passion with anime. And I would love to be on that and just talk more about like my experiences and our experiences in general as well. So maybe one day we'll get there. We'll see. I don't know where the anime podcast gods will land us, but hopefully we are, I don't know, down the road. But I'm here for fun. We're having fun. And that's what matters.
We're having
and
fun.
I mean, we've been a part of other anime podcast discords, and I feel like we have like a real community where other podcasts lack that. So that's one thing I will always take away from what we do. I think so well. And same with Senpai Talk. Thank you for letting us into your community as well, and merging and people from their side coming over to us, our side going over to them, and we're just like one big happy family. So props to them as well. If you are unfamiliar, Senpai Talk Show is a weekly I'd say like variety show on Twitch on Sundays.
Are they still an anime podcast?
They were never a podcast. They're more like a
fair.
Twitch show or something like that. So
Yeah.
great community, a great group of like young adults that are in the anime as well. So shout out to them. Boys, we're wrapping up. Any last thoughts before I start plugging?
Man, all I gotta say is that I loved meeting everybody there. This was probably the most fun that I've had with other people since probably like my junior year in high school. It was so, and it even tops that. Like this is probably the most fun that I've had with other people who aren't family in probably my whole life. Like that, I loved being there with you guys. It was so fun.
Oh, thank you, Kat. That means a lot. I don't really know what to say. Just thank you to all my friends, and just try and stay healthy because, god damn it, I am dying right
Yeah.
now.
We're all dying.
If you're watching the visual podcast, I am sweating like a pig right now. This flu is kicking my ass, but I pushed through because I love you, internet. But that being said, that wraps up our Anime New York City recap. Thank you so much for listening. If you've made it this far, if you want to support the podcast, the best way to do that is like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are listening on. Next week, if Tyler pays the steak bill, we will be watching One Piece for Watch Club. But if he doesn't pay the steak bill, we will not be watching. So until then, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.